Chapter 4. Side note, I just noticed that the second chapter got really popular. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it had Shadow and a kitten. Tails flew low over the ocean, dragging Sonic along by the arms. He had flown for several hours now and was getting extremely tired. He had been dipping lower and lower to the water. Another instant, Sonic's sneakers were getting wet. I don't think I'm going to make it, patted Tails, struggling to keep in flight. Sonic was getting worried. They still had a long way to go. Sonic really didn't feel like going for a swim. But suddenly, he and Tails dropped into the water with a large splash. He broke the surface and grabbed Tails by his windbreaker. Hang on, kid! He said, splashing around. Sorry, Sonic, mumbled Tails, exhausted. Sonic looked around, trying to keep the both of them above water. Don't sweat, kid. A few hundred meters away, he spotted a large dark shape floating in water. He dragged Tails along, struggling to get to the object. He at last saw what it was, a log. He threw Tails on top of it, landing him on his stomach. Hang on, big guy. It's time to do a little motoring. Tails didn't answer. He was trying to get his breath back, his back heaving back and forth. Sonic grabbed the end of the log, and by kicking his feet like he was running, he was able to act like an outboard motor. The log sliced through the water. The cool breeze helped Tails recover, and presently he sat up. Glad to see you're feeling better, Tails, said Sonic over the noise that was kicking his feet. Tails nodded at Sonic and pulled at the map. After perusing for a few seconds, he turned back. You go over to the left a little bit, Sonic. We should be getting close to the island. Sonic pushed the log over and paddled for another 10 minutes. I think I see the island, he pointed. Sure enough, a small landmass was becoming visible over the horizon. And it descends like plague dogs. That's no island! That's gotta be the Isle of Mern, Tails said surely. Sonic grinned. Hang on, Tails. I'm gonna kick this baby to overdrive! He said, as he put more effort into his kicking. The log roared across the water, and in a few minutes was scraping Pete's sand. Wait, Pascal, Sonic, said Tails, giving Sonic a high five. Serious cool. At the far end of the beach, a small girl watched him. Sage? She was a young, pink-furred hedgehog. Amy? She had pink, upswept hair, was held in place by a pink headband. She wore a white short-sleeved shirt and a pink pleat shirt, white sneakers with pink socks and pink laces. She looked back down to her sandcastle when she noticed Sonic and Tails approaching her. Hey, kid, said Sonic, stomping at her castle. Can you tell us where Oakdale Village is? She looked up at him again, and Sonic could see tear tracks down her cheeks. She didn't speak to him, but pointed down a path behind her. Sonic looked at Tails and merely shrugged. Thanks, he said, as he turned down the path. The hedgehog girl watched him go, stood up and brushed the sand around her knees, turned and walked up the path. Sonic and Tails soon approached a small village. Several huts were lying in a semicircle, defining the perimeter. Passed between the two huts and approached the village center. Many people were milling about, talking, or going about their business. Everything looked bright and cheerful, but Sonic could feel something off. Some kind of nervousness in the air. He shook it off, looking around for the village elder. Presently, an older lion creature walked out from the hut, followed by the warhawk creature. They wore loose-fitting robes that reached down to their ankles. The lions wore a red and gold robe with red trim. The warhawks was blue with silver trim. Both wore sandals on their feet, and they both strolled up to Sonic.
Ah, King Sonic, what a pleasant surprise. Welcome to the village of Oakdale. I am Cedric Edgewater, clan leader. This is Stafford, my safe assistant.
Handshakes were exchanged. Glad to meet you, Cedric. This is Tails. Nice village you have here, said Sonic, looking around.
Cedric smiled. Why, thank you, your majesty. Have you eaten yet? It is near our lunchtime, and I would be honored if you would join me for dinner,
asked Cedric. Sonic looked at Tails. After what I've been through, we could eat a shark, right, Tails? Tails merely frowned while Sonic laughed. Cedric eyed his eyebrow.
Well then, right this way,
said Cedric, leading to a small hut. After a sumptuous meal, Sonic and Tails sat back in their chairs and wiped their hands. Mondo, excellent chow, Cedric. You guys sure know how to make a good chili dog, said Sonic, clearly impressed.
We have excellent cooks, replied Cedric. Now, your majesty, if I may ask, What brings you here from New Mobotropolis?
Sonic snapped his fingers. Oh, right! Well, we've come here to look up Dr. Rose and get some sort of part from him for my Uncle Chuck. It's for some adventure or something. Cedric looked at Stefford and back to Sonic. He was suddenly downcast.
Oh, well, I'm afraid that's going to be a bit difficult. You see, Dr. Rose has somehow vanished.
Sonic and Tails stared at him, eyed wide. Later that evening, out in the ocean, a large cruiser was seen slicing through the waters. It was a ship from the Mobian Ocean Guard, out on a routine patrol. The captain was just about to sit down to dinner when a crewman came out rushing in. Sir, said Fett, we've come across the debris, sir. The captain, a large cat, bristled his whiskers.
Oh, you know what voice I'm going for with this one. Debris? What kind of debris?
Definitely from another boat, sir, replied the crewman. The captain put down his utensils and grabbed his hat.
All right, then. Let's have a look-see.
They exited his cabin and ran down the back to the bow. Several crewmen were using a large crane and hoist with a net to raise the debris from the water to the deck. The hoist let down load. Water in one pieces sloshed everywhere. Captain Planter, sir.
I don't care. I'm still using the big voice,
said the senior deckman, saluting. We are racing the debris now. It seems to be some kind of sailboat. Peltier bent down to the debris, as well as several of the crewmen.
Let's see what we have here.
He shifted to the wreckage and brought up a piece of wood.
The serial number on this piece seems intact.
He handed it to a crewman.
Take this to the computer room and run a check on it.
The crewman departed, wood in hand. They continued searching. Presently, the crewman returned. Captain, sir! This boat stacks out to be owned by King and Queen of Kingdom of Metropolis. Sir, rest assured, King Sonic's name. The captain started.
King Sonic?
He gasped. A crewman behind him cleared his throat, and Peltier turned to him. Sir, I found this. He held up when Peltier took it out, turned to be a windbreaker. He turned it over and blazed it on the pocket with the name Sonic.
Oh dear,
said Peltier, chewing the inside of his cheek. He turned to the crewman who came from the computer room.
What was the destination logged in as?
The crewman sifted. Sir, according to the Mobian Royal Port, the destination was logged in as the Isle of Man, approximately 60 kilometers southwest from this position. Peltier thought for a moment. Just because he had the records of a ship did not necessarily mean the occupants drowned with it. He also knew of Sonic, and knew that the Hedgehog would not go down easily. He made his destination.
Set course for the island of Mern. We'll see if King Sonic reaches destination. I will contact Her Majesty and inform her of our findings.
He turned smartly on his heels and marched away. The crewmen continued their work on the records. What do you mean, vanished? Exploded Sonic. Cedric looked down.
Well, it happened last week. Dr. Rose was working late in his laboratory, and by morning he was gone. No one had seen him since. It is very puzzling.
Stefford whispered in his ear.
Oh, quite right. His daughter Amy,
I knew it,
was staying over at a friend's house at the time of his disappearance, and has been staying with me ever since.
He pointed down the table.
Here she comes now.
The little girl from the beast walked in slowly, never taking her eyes off of Sonic. She came up beside Cedric. She clutched the sleeve of his robe protectively, still staring at Sonic.
This is Amy Rose, the daughter of Dr. Edward Rose. Amy, this is King Sonic and Tails.
He motioned his head. Amy did not speak, or even smile. Oh my god! This Amy is broken!
She is still upset over the disappearance of her father,
apologized Cedric. You know, despite being mentally broken and horrified and very, very sad, sadly, this is probably the best appearance of Amy on this show. And that's so sad, son Amy shippers. Do Amy better! Sonic muscled to Cedric. We really need that part. Maybe we go to his lab? Maybe we can find it somewhere?
Certainly,
said Cedric, raising himself from his chair.
We shall go immediately. Everything is still there. The lab hasn't been touched since Dr. Rose's disappearance.
Two figures crouched tied up in the shadows of a giant tree by the path Sonic, Tails, Cedric, and Amy were taking. They were hidden from sight from the ground, but could see everything perfectly. They kept to the cool shadows, whispering to one another. How long do we have to stay in this tree? Asked one in a low whisper. The other figure just as persistent. Until we find out what's going on. First those bots came and trashed Dr. Rose's lab. Now he's here. Something's interesting going on. Have patience, she said in a high voice. Patience for the hospital, whispered the first, cracking a wide grin. Still, good to see him again after all these years. His foot started tapping on the branch. Quit that, she said, glaring at him. Look, they're headed toward the lab. Follow them. The lab was off in the forest, past the hut perimeter. It was a large building about 50 feet long by 30 feet wide, standing in a clearing. It was a simple affair, rustic with a thatched roof and a small chimney. The door swung open immediately for them. It was dark, but Cedric felt along the wall and flipped on the light switch. The room brightened, illuminating several corners and tables littered with gadgets, tools, and small objects. A larger table with running chemical experiments, several computer screens, tons of paper desks, and filing cabinets. Oh man, how are we ever gonna find it in this junk? Wailed Sonic. Tails stuck to his knees. Well, we better start somewhere, he said, picking up a discarded piece of paper. They searched for most of the afternoon, but could not come up with the missing part. Where are we gonna tell Uncle Chuck? Asked Tails. Sonic shook his head. I don't know, big guy. He walked over to a wall leaning against it. He let his gaze drift down to the opposite wall. He frowned as his eyes passed over something. He left the wall and approached the opposite one. He put out his hand and ran it over the burn mark. The mark had a small scoring in the middle of it. Definitely not burn mark, mumbled Sonic. He walked out the door, walked all around the building, came back inside.
What's the matter?
Asked Cedric, with Amy still in front of him, clutching his robe. Sonic shook his head again. Nothing. I guess it's time we head back. Cedric, would you have a spare boat to lend us? Ours was smashed up by a shark bot on our way in.
Cedric looked at Sonic curiously. Of course. At the harbor there are many boats to choose from. Come, I'll take you to it.
Including one shaped like a goat and one shaped like a lion. You keep these jokes out of here! They left the lab and walked down another path of the forest. The two figures overhead jumped from tree to tree following them. A little while later, they came upon the harbor. It was a large dock area with several boats tied to the piers, and a small shop in the middle. They approached the shop and went inside. There, Cedric lent Sonic his small sailboat to fill his charm. They walked along the pier until they came to it. It was a 20-foot sailboat, smaller than Sonic's own, but looked seaworthy. He jumped down to the deck. Well, Cedric, thanks for everything. Look me up the next time you're in Metropolis, said Sonic, undoing the lines that held the boat to the pier.
You're welcome, Magus at Sea. Have a safe journey.
He started to wave, but Amy tugged at his robe. He bent down and whispered as he whispered in his ear. He asked,
Are you sure?
So he nodded vigorously. He straightened up.
Your Majesty, would you mind taking little Amy with you? She has no family here and no one to take care of her, said Cedric.
I don't know. I already have 2 kids, he said. He noticed Amy started to cry. He rolled his eyes. All right, she could come. So he squealed and jumped down into the boat, and Sonic pushed away from the pier. Tails lifted the sails and picked up speed. So long, Cedric! Sonic yelled. Cedric waited to them until they were out of sight. When they were, he made a subtle sigh of relief. Stifford walked on to him. Is she safely away? He asked. Cedric smiled.
Yes, Amy is safe at least.
Shouldn't we told him of? Started Stifford. Cedric held up a hand, stopping him.
She is safe now, and that's all that matters. Come, Stifford, we have much work to do.
He said, turning away from the darks. Stifford sighed, taking one last look at the diminishing shape of the boat, and turned to follow Cedric. Up on another tree, the 2 figures looked at each other, then departed. Sally was walking down the hallways to the expensive castle when a wall computer called for her attention. Yes, she asked, what is it? The computer answered, Incoming call for you. Your Highness, Orson, Mobius Olsen. Sally was elated. She was wondering when Sonic was going to call her. Please send it through. The screen showed a little bit of static, then cleared to show the image of Captain Pelletier. Yes, what can I do for you? She asked, clearly puzzled. Pelletier cleared his throat.
Sorry to disturb you, Your Highness. I am Captain Pelletier, commander of the Alien Ocean Guard cutter, Aegis. I regret to inform you that as of 1700 hours ago today, We are taken aboard wreckage for the sailboat. Register is the Princess Sally. No survivors were found.
Oh no! Sally groaned. Tears began to well up in her eyes. Peltier took his hat off and held it in front of him.
Your Majesty, I stress to you we have not found any bodies, so there's a good chance that the occupants are still alive. We are proceeding on course to the Isle of Mern. The Czechoslovak made it. Don't worry, Your Highness. We'll find him and bring him back to you. Peltier out.
He quickly broke the connection. Sally slumped to the floor, crying in her hands. Sonic gone? She could hardly believe it. Bunny was walking down the hall and saw Sally fall. She ran over to her. Sally girl, what's the matter? She asked, holding her by her shoulders. Sally blinked her eyes several times to clear them. She looked up at her friend. Oh, Bunny, Sonic's gone. His boat was smashed. Tears began to form in Bunny's arms. Tails too? She asked, and Sally nodded. Oh, my stars. She began, starting to cry too. She wiped the tears from her eyes. Where are we going to do? She asked, her voice quivering. I don't know. The Ocean Guards look looking for him. He said he may have survived, but I don't know. Oh, Bunny. She cried to Bunny's shoulder. She held her tight, tears falling freely from her eyes. Many, many miles west of the Isle of Mern, and several dozen meters underground, a tall cloaked figure lounged in a throne-like chair. The chair itself was anchored to its dais in the middle of a busy bridge area. Several small robots were busy with the controls, and he did not pay their master much attention. He would have been surprised if they did, since they were merely automatons, brainless workers who carried on his every command. All that could be discerned from the figure was the long, dark-colored cloak that surrounded him. Huge, metal-clad fists protruded from the cloak's sleeves, as well as equally huge, well-muscled calves and feet, also clad in metal. 2 red eyes glowed ominously from the hood. He had been down on this planet, buried underground for several weeks now, and he had not accomplished his mission. It was fairly simple. Locate the agent known as Robotnik, extrapolate information. The agent had not communicated with his home planet for several years, and this had his masters worried. Robotnik's mission was to conquer Mobius for the masters, and return it to a machine planet. Mobius was rich in several minerals, and was in an excellent strategic location in space. His masters had given Robotnik the technology and resources years ago in order to overthrow the monarchy and establish himself as ruler. He did not want their investment to go to waste. Obviously, that fool failed in his mission, mused the cloaked figure. Nowhere did he see any tall factories producing machinery, nor any robots for that matter. The surface was still pristine, and worst of all, Robotnik's fortress was supposed to be, a tall gleaming castle stood. The fool was defeated long ago, muttered the tall being under his breath. He learned a great deal of the past history from one of his prisoners. Oh, that had been a lucky break. He had been ready to level the castle out of frustration when a struggling look flew above him. He recognized the former freedom fighter from data files that Robotnik had been sent to Machina years ago. He had given chase, but the creature had eluded him. He had scoured the planet, looking for this particular creature, and eventually did find him again. He took him and his unfortunate friend prisoner. He rarely took prisoners, but these were valuable sources of information. This thought pleased him, and he rose from his chair, and a swirl of cloaks departed to the bridge. His metallic feet boomed against the steel floor as he approached the cell where his 2 prisoners hung from the shadows. They were bound to the walls by wrists and ankles by energy bonds in the shadows of a large cage. He looked at his captors before speaking. It seems my plan has already bears fruit, he rasped, his voice hoarse when the same loud. The prisoner on his left raised his head from his chest to regard the figure. The creature's whiskers prickled. You won't get away with this, he croaked. The figure waved his comment away. Please, please. We have gone through this before. Not only will I get away with this, I will soon have that wonderful mega power ring in my hands soon. Do you not agree? Mechanics, you're an evil, inhuman monster, said the prisoner on his left, voice cracking with strain. Mechanics growled. You dare impose your Mobian modalities on me? Good and evil do not apply. I simply only follow the orders my masters give me. Evil is not something tangible, but a combination of hate and ego, each working to satisfy the other. I neither hate nor do I have an ego. I merely exist. He calmed down and gestured. Even now, my agent, on my signal, will lower the shields that defend the castle, and we shall invade. I will have that. He clenched his fists. The prisoner's head sunk back into his chest. Yes, continued Mechanics, thanks to all the information you have volunteered about the castle and your friends, it will be a simple matter indeed to destroy them all. And thanks to your information on this wonderful mechanical mega power ring, this planet will fall to my hands, and there is no one to stop me.
Sonic will stop you!
Yelled the prisoner defiantly. The Mechanics regarded his captive. Yes, your Hedgehog friend. You tell me he is the fastest being on Mobius. He is no matter. I will deal with him the same way I deal with my enemies. Steel. He thought, bringing a hand up to his hidden chin. Being as fast as he may be able to foil my plans. I must think of a plan to defeat this Hedgehog and get me that ring. He whirled away and swirled close, leaving the two prisoners alone. The prisoner Mechanics was speaking to turned his head and regarded his friend.
How are you doing, Edward?
The other prisoner peacefully lifted his head. He could not turn to look at his friend, but masked a small smile. Could be better, he said with a strain. His head slipped to his chest.
Don't worry. Sonic will stop him,
he muttered. The small sailboat sailed majestically into the open water. Sonic unfurled his sail and a brisk wind caught it, rapidly carrying the boat with it. Sonic then went and stood by the wheel, where Tails stood in the middle and Amy stood by the bow, her feet dangling off over the edge. Sonic did not know how to break the news of the missing scientist to his uncle. He took his head clear, concentrating on his sailing. It was getting darker, the sun nearly to the horizon, and Sonic had to squint to look ahead. Tails had his binoculars out and was scanning the water. Amy sat over the bow's edge, kicking her feet onto the hull and letting the wind blow through her hair. She sighed, thinking about where her father might be. She missed him very much, and she hoped desperately that Sonic and Tails could help her find him again. She looked back at Sonic, her expression softening a bit. She really hoped he could help her. She looked back over the water again, as the sight of the softly turning waves could help her. The wind felt good in her face and her hair, and the occasional spray from the waves hitting the boat lightly missed her, cooling her off. She then closed her eyes as the spray hit her, then opened them again. Amy's scream brought out Sonic out of his little daydream. He felt entirely relaxed at the wheel, and noise tilted him back, down to the front of the boat, holding Amy as he scuttled back frankly from the bow's edge. "What is it? What's wrong?" he asked, trying to disengage the clumsy girl from him. She trembled, pointing out the wire. Sonic followed her finger, squinting at something bright saying sun. Sure enough, he saw the light glint off the metal fin that was rapidly approaching them. "Oh, not again!" he said, pulling Amy back towards the middle of the boat. Tails stepped out of the boat, offering Sonic a bundle. "Here, Sonic, I found this!" he said. Sonic passed Amy to Tails, took the bundle, and Ron Brandon held it up. "Great, Tails! This harpoon gun will come in handy," he said. The gun was a duplicate to the one Sonic had used earlier. He didn't hesitate. He sighted the gun and pulled the trigger. The harpoon whistled out, struck the side of the approaching shark bot. He pressed the button, and nothing happened. Startled, Sonic checked the power gauge. 0. He threw the gun down and said to Tails, "Get aboard, pal! The gun didn't have a charge!" Tails grabbed Amy under the arm and pulled up. "Well, you, Sonic!" Sonic jumped onto the deck railing, grabbing the coil of rope there. "I'm going to try and deal this guy." He dove off into the icy cold water. He swam deep, the shark bot passing over him. Sonic surfaced behind the bot and looped a rope around its tail several times. This was difficult because the shark bot's tail was stretching wildly. Sonic could not get a good grip on the slippery metal. The shark bot ran down to the boat, splintering the hull amidships. Sonic finally got the rope around its tail and, holding it tight, started to run. His feet slapped the water fast, pulling the shark bot behind him. The shark bot's small brain registered its hint's direction and turned to face Sonic. But Sonic was already running the other way, causing the bot to swim around in fast circles. A low, loud horn sounded off in the distance, and he looked up. An ocean guard ship was fast approaching. Tails pointed at it to Amy. They heard a muffled blow and something fast sank and embedded itself deep in the bot's hide. Sonic dropped his rope quickly as the electrical charge fried the bot and sank. The ship coasted to a stop beside the trio in their sinking boat. As Tails landed aboard, an Indian ladder was lowered to Sonic. He climbed up, and the crewmen there wrapped him with towels. A tall feline in an officer's uniform walked up to him.
I am Captain Paletter. Welcome aboard the Aegis,
he said, shaking Sonic's hand.
We've been out searching for you some time,
helping wipe himself dry. We ran into some small problems along the way, he said innocently.
Well, lucky for you, we were in the neighborhood, eh?
Paletter laughed, slapping Sonic's back. I don't know. I lost 2 boats today. Yours could be the 3rd, Sonic said, smirking. The humor was not lost to Paletter.
Well then, I guess we'll all be swimming home.
He laughed uproariously, joined by several of his crewmen. But seriously, I do believe there's a little lady who would be quite interested
in talking to you.
Sonic was startled. Sal! Oh my gosh, he's probably worried sick about me, he said, grabbing Paletter by the arm and peeled away. Where's your radio room? Captain Paletter had to hold onto his hat to avoid it getting blown in his head.
You just passed it,
he said. Sonic did a about face and ran to the door he passed. Paletter straightened out his uniform jacket.
Comtech, raise the palace at New Metropolis at once,
he commanded.